Again, this is a band of which I can't believe I'm only doing this now, a year after I started my channel, because it's actually in my top 5 of most favorite bands ever. Seriously, what's wrong with me? Anyhow, this is Delain and why they're awesome. Delain is actually one of the very rare bands that came to my attention via mainstream media. Their first single, See Me in Shadow, from the Lucidity album got a shit ton of airtime on the Dutch version of MTV. You know, back when MTV still played music. It was also in the days when I myself had only recently discovered the wondrous world of melodic metal, and although the song itself was not particularly special to me at the time, Delain sounded like something I could get into. Then a friend of mine let me borrow his copy of Lucidity, and that was it. I was hooked ever since. The biggest strength of Delain is indeed the fact that it had a rock solid beginning. Lucidity was a groundbreaking album in many ways. It made them popular in mainstream media, and that is something that pretty much never really happened a lot before with Dutch metal bands. Not even Epica got so much mainstream attention. And all because Delain's music was a perfectly balanced two-sided sword. It was poppy enough to become popular in the mainstream media, but heavy enough to appeal to the metal fans. Plus, on Lucidity they already have a whole cast of established artists like Marco Hittala, Liv Christine, Sheridan Adel and George Oosthoek. And I really think it was the latter person who became responsible for making Delain known in the circles of the heavier genre, since George was already at least locally known for a band from bands like Sisters and Good Surf. And of course Marco Hittala. You can't wish for a more epic person to star on your debut album. And having such a titan in your lineup can only guarantee success, and it did. So what they actually basically did was hitch a ride on the success of their well-chosen guest stars, which catapulted them into the scene on many fronts, and after that they held their own and made their own success grow. And yeah, Delain just knew how to handle things right from the start. So when we look at Delain themselves, it's really frontwoman Charlotte Wessels who carries the most of that success. Even when a song is mediocre at best, her vocals just lift it up to a status of awesome. I swear she can sing a Justin Bieber song and still make it fantastic. Because yeah, I do have to admit that especially the more recent albums became quite repetitive for me personally. I will never say they make bad music, but it all starts to sound quite the same in my ears. I think I can best explain this by quoting some lines from my review on wingsofdeath.net of their last album Moonbathers. So I quote: "That Delain stands on the absolute top of the Dutch melodic metal scene is an undeniable fact. So it doesn't really matter anymore what they release, they will stay popular no matter what. So what when their new album is more of a copy of the last one? Not that Moonbathers is a bad album per se, on the contrary. It's good old Delain again, a band that can get away with recycled music because they have one of the strongest vocalists in the genre. I can't hate on Delain, and I can't hate on this album either. I will also play this one till it breaks, but if we talk about a band that seemed to have halted in their music development, it's Delain. The choruses are too plain, the melody is predictable, but it still sounds damn good somehow because, well, it's Delain. They give you the same successful recipe again and again, and they even nail it. Moonbathers is one shot's case, and maybe they can pull that trick with the next one too, but the one after that? Okay, that was more than a few lines, but what the heck. But even Moonbathers had some moments that still made my jaw drop. Like the song Chrysalis, The Last Breath is a ballad, but it's one of the best songs they have recently made, in my humble opinion. Despite it being free of guitars and other noise, it's again Charlotte and her amazing voice that makes me get goosebumps every time I hear it. That woman can do fucking magic with her throat. As to other things that makes this band awesome, let's talk about this fluffy guy for a moment. This is Otto Schimmelpenninck van den Ooyen. Yes, that name is quite a mouthful and it has a reason. They also call him the Baron, and no, that is not just a nickname. This guy is actually Dutch aristocracy, descended from one of the oldest families in the country. He is actually legit a Baron. He once appeared on this Dutch TV program, it's called Hoe Heurt het eigenlijk? There's a TV program about the wealthiest and highest esteemed people in the country, and he was on there with his parents, and it was so funny. His parents is like these real neat, posh, and correct people, and they have this long-haired metal bass player for a son to carry on the family name and pride. So, yeah, quite a shock. And if this doesn't make him epic quite yet, this certainly will. On a gig in Birmingham in England in 2014, he got hit full in the nuts by a confetti cannon. And somehow he managed to finish the show with a ruptured testicle. That sounds fucking painful, and half a liter of blood was pumped out of his sack at the hospital afterwards. And yeah, the tour could continue after that, but just... Dude, I applaud you. That is showmanship. So now when you Google his name, the first thing you see is headlines about his ruptured sack. So instead of his royal legacy, his name now lives on through the story of a broken set of balls. So I think that's success for you. But talking about showmanship, if there's anything that makes Delain worthwhile, it must be that. I've seen them live about 4 or 5 times now, and every time they just wow me. There's nothing that Charlotte can't do with her voice, and she's one of the rare cases of a singer that sound better on a live stage than on an album. And they have incredible energy on stage, and now they have this girl, Merel Bechtold, in their lineup, who is one badass guitar player also. I haven't seen Delain live with her yet, but I have seen her twice with The Gentle Storm, and man, this girl kicks some serious ass. All in all, Delain is one of those bands that is a guilty pleasure for a lot of metal fans because it's not even that heavy, although they do have a lot of credit on that side of the genre somehow via guest stars like previously mentioned George Oosthoek and more recently the most loved female grunter of this age, Alyssa White-Gluz from The Agonist and Arch Enemy, which are all pretty huge names within the heavier genres. And Charlotte herself is also being heard in a plethora of other bands as well, like Serenity and Camelot and Dark Sarah and Nemesis, to name a few. So they continue to channel their own good name through other bands and artists. They are just incredibly good and talented, and they like to let the world know that they are by tying their name to pretty much everything, and that somehow works wonders for them. So, Delain, no doubt you know them, so tell me what you think makes them awesome in your opinion. Do you agree with my review? Let me know in the comments, and leave a like and subscribe to me, to the artist, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye bye!